Here's an excerpt from our next book, Given in Love by the Elders. Sunday, July 16th, 2023, 7:30 a.m. I want to move in conscious awareness. I am consciously aware to some extent and want to be that awareness this day. I want to know whatever you are willing to share. Would you provide insights now without my asking specific questions? Instead, answer previously asked questions, and I'll record your insights here. We will say that you are and all is in that space of loving embrace. And so let us begin. Once upon a time, there were those who longed to be in a way of physicality so that they could know and understand more. This led them to enter into an agreement that was measured and seeped in technicalities that could not be understood without knowing what it is to be physical. Understandings were not known for how can you know this or that without the depth and degree of knowing what this or that equates to. What would be felt was unclear, and why the understanding did go unnoticed and not fully recognized because there was not the awareness of what it inferred. Let us say this was perhaps deceptive in its delivery. Many live streams were impacted, and the greatest disservice was that there was not an automatically aligned measure to remind, redirect, or reconstruct as to the purposeful objective underfoot in a more direct way. We do not normally spell things out in such a way, but we do want to say that there are many here that have so sufficiently lost their way that at some distant point in the future, a reset of what is must be. For they are now so set in their ways that they look upon what once was as something separate and aside from themselves. They believe this is their forever home. In many regards, they are correct. For to think of anything other than what they know or to think they might be from somewhere else is a once upon a time tale. And so we move to another consideration, one that you will love and enjoy, one that will bring a measure of closure to you and all you aspire to know. There is that which is around you, always seeking more. There is that which is and can be. Do you see what it is we discuss? We discuss you and all within its fuller measure. We discuss what can be when you allow each and everything that fertile ground in which to exist. But in order for these things to be as they might be and are to be, there must be a degree of that which currently is not. And so will you agree that now more might enter into your awareness by your allowing that entrance in? Yes, I allow it in. Yes, I allow it in. Yes, I allow it in. Yes, I want it to be. Yes, I want it to be. Yes, I want it to be. We seek for you to allow more to be by your wanting, by your desire, by your mentalness, stepping and moving off in a way so that in this remainder time, you stay resolute in the ability and flexibility for your existence to be more of this and that and the other, so that there is that full expanse of knowing that this is it. This is all that you were ever meant to see and be. And when you take in the wanted knowingness of what is now able to be, you will see that those things are more simplistic and able to be engaged once the emotional and feeling dynamic is more greatly understood. It is there that so much awaits discovery by those who are walking and talking on this planet today and yesterday. It is the depth and degree to which each does feel here that makes it unique and necessary to know the depth and degree of knowing more. It is that discovery that makes your discovery so much more. Move in ways unique to your time here. Move in ways resplendent to the many gifts that are yours now to claim. Move to ask for these gifts, for they are all of your right to ascertain and engage in gifts given and gifts already accomplished. Know that you are the key holder, the pass holder, the one who does hold the rights to each knowingly conspired and acquired gift. Knowingly conspired, for they have aspired to be brought again into this earth in a physical way, a way of being all they were meant to be. Since I talk to the elders throughout the day, I ask many more questions mentally than I do in written form. A question I posed yesterday dealt with the realization and desire to call in gifts created from this and other lifetimes. All are property of my soul. How I might call them into play now. I want to lay claim to all my resources from this life and any other. You have that right too. Lay claim to what is yours by asking for your gifts to be incorporated into your being and world sooner, rather than later. Use them in the highest and best use possible. Use them for the highest good. Use them as you would use some valued possession that you do not routinely take out and parade around. Consider now a vintage car that you keep in its own garage. You take this car out for small rides around the block. But it is a car that will take you to 200 miles per hour and has many unique abilities and capabilities that you dare not use because you do not want to damage this priceless thing. But we tell you that now is the time to pull out all the stops, to enable the joyride to be something more than that. We tell you to look at your gifts in this way, for you cannot take these intangibles with you, as they are already mixed into the consciousness in which you reside. They are intangibles, and we will say that many of them you so exceedingly excel at that you would think them primitive in measure when back in your home space. But here, they are priceless and not considered primitive but advanced. You see, as we have said, your abilities far exceed what one can do here in this space, mired by limitation and lack. For there is more of that here than the other. So we want you to rise up and discover who you once were and who you are. Who you are is an invincible being who sought to help those in need. And they need you now more today than yesterday. We will say that most who arrived, having been here prior to your first embodiment, are still here, layered upon and feeling that this earth is an impossible place in which to be. And we do see that they reinforce that belief by being in the mental space of believing life is hard, that limitation and lack exist, and that they are destined to live a meager life. We seek for them to remember their divinity, and we seek for you to throw off the shackles of the mind and to move in an unprecedented way. Do you recall the oral teaching we shared regarding the hawk and falcon? This is where you must screech above the wind to be heard, where you must be heard above the winds and the noise of this time. This is that. This is that reference for you to know that there is a hunger today for this rediscovery to become known, and we will help you with that. We will help you to be found, but you must tune in often. You must tune in and see that we are behind you and do support your every step. See this and know that we have been with you throughout these many journeys and too many to count or recount. Their countless numbers would stagger your mind, so we do not go there, but simply say this is the time, and it is time for so much more to be. We move in love as we are in the energy of love, but do not mistake that to mean that we do not have the ability and capability to move in a way of conviction and fire. We are ignited by the suffering of man, who was once before spiritual essence, now trapped here. Traps that have kept him or her in this place, that they now exist as if there is nothing more, nothing else, no other thing that awaits in the winds of time. And because this or that one did not stand behind initially, there is not the recall when other light beings come here to rescue these ones, which are those they love. There is no means of recall, for the amnesia is real. We want you to feel what many feel, and the conviction of the steps you take. The awareness must be not just a fanciful one, but one of measure, one of knowing that your purpose is a significant thing, and that many will be helped by your steps. We want you to know this journey that you aspire to know, for this is how you felt upon entering this earth space. You felt invincible because you knew the depth and degree that must be reached upon entering here. Recall of this was forgotten, and that was for the full immersion experience chosen. But know that it was not as you had anticipated, and the feeling was not as you had come to believe. For we know now that it is so much more than can be known in the dimensionality in which we exist. But we want you to know the fire of your soul and what that fire felt like. You are in a degree of that understanding now, and we will equate it to conviction for what you are doing. Let all other things fall away. They are not of the importance that your ego believes them to be. You are on a mission. It is not a mission impossible, but one that is worthy of your time here. Although we do not want you to work 24/7, we do want you to know that it is not to be squandered away. You do not want another to have to step in lockstep for these other things that do not warrant their time or yours. Know that this is a valued component. If you care about this and that, then there is a degree of fortitude that you might want to share with them, that this is of measure. And they will not know if their steps are correctly placed or not until they either tune in to ascertain such, or upon their departure to that next domain. I started going through fanciful clothing and things from my life before, where everything had to be designer and grand. I started to go through it all last night and sort to sell, give away, consign. I see now that this is a waste of time. And we want them to know that which we share, for it is their means out of here. It is their way back to live the lives they knew before here. This space is not meant to be for ego. It was meant to be for the soul, and this has been forgotten and relegated to something not of value, for it cannot be seen, but it can be felt. So we ask that you ask them to feel if your words ring true, to sit with these words and know that they must have a conviction now, unlike any other time, that they move into a space of conviction, of knowingness, and of a fortitude that will move them from here to there. This is the fire we discuss. This is the fire of fortitude for those reading these words to know that they do not know all. They have forgotten. They have aspired and aligned to something that had many of the ingredients they sought to know, yet there is always more. This is the more that does exist, and the more which exists after that. And they must want to get off of this planet by feeling deeply within what is still accessible for them to know. Feeling, and then knowing is all that there is, and all that is needed. Do not slow your search until you are off this planet, and finally have returned home. Elders, I'm beyond words. Thank you for this gift.